Hello, my name is Victoria and I'm one of the 10 University of Birmingham MA Art History and Curating student curators for the online exhibition Sites of Wonder, in partnership with the Barber Institute of Fine Arts and the Royal Collection Trust. In this talk, I will introduce you to two objects in the exhibition that help us consider how people back in Britain engaged via the print media with the roll tool in Francis Bedford's photographs. In particular, I will discuss how the Illustrated London News in the Punch magazine shaped an image of the tool and reference Bedford's work. In the 19th century, steam printing allowed newspapers to revolutionize news publishing. The technological advancement of telegraphs and railways, information traveled fast, allowing newspapers to be printed and sold rapidly. As a result, people in Victorian Britain were able to consume current affairs much more quickly and in more detail over the duration of days than had been possible for previous generations. Similar as today, Victorians were particularly attentive to news related to the royal family. Newspapers provided an outlet summarizing the daily activities of the royal family, presented in chronological order. Contemporary with the roll tool to the Middle East was the major attraction, the International Exhibition of 1862. The exhibition was attended by around 6 million visitors, in which the Egyptian court featured modern and ancient items. All these factors would have heightened public interest in the tour itself. Introducing our first object, the Illustrated London News, features striking wood engravings. The engravings were published in a special section of the paper concerning the engagement of the Prince of Wales's roll tour. The images visible here relate to the first stop of the roll tour, Egypt. The first engraving depicts the reception of the prince in Cairo by Said Pasha, the Viceroy of Egypt. The images relate to another image in Sites of Wonder, Jemima Blackburn's watercolour of the excavation at Thebes. The Viceroy authorized the excavation presented in this watercolour. In both circumstances, the images record diplomatic engagements of the prince during the tour, highlighting his position as the throne's successor and the responsibility of his role. The second Illustrated London News print below illustrates the prince expecting photographic negatives taken by Bedford, with the Temple of Isis in the background. Notably, the print shows not only the large field camera, but also includes on the right-hand side the same photo booth as visible in Bedford's photo of the Great Court of the Temple of Horrors, visible in the exhibition. Both of these illustrations show a different perspective of the prince's tour, contrasting with Bedford's images and extending our knowledge of the photographic production. The third Illustrated London News graphic depicts a very familiar scene to the photographs displayed in the exhibition. In the engraving, we see the royal party departing to visit the pyramids. The composition of the print with the pyramids depicted on the left side and a similar arrangement of the group suggests that it was inspired directly by Bedford's photographs. Other prints subsequently presented in the Illustrated London News show a remarkable similarity with the composition and details of Bedford's photos, but in reverse as a result of the printing process. This suggests that the negatives of the photographs were used to orientate the engravings. Readers of the Illustrated London News therefore were aware already consuming Bedford's images before the opening of Bedford's photographic exhibition in London, held later that year. Many publications reviewed Bedford's exhibition, including the British Journal of Photography, which praised his photographs as admirable. The images of the Holy Land won much attention as they provided evidence for the existence of the places mentioned in the Bible. The photography of the Mount of Olives, in particular, was mentioned in countless reviews, evidence that these images were of specific interest to the Victorian visitor. Nevertheless, the photographs also met with some criticism, such as a comment in the Illustrated London News, which suggested that Bedford was much more successful in capturing immobile objects, such as architecture and landscape. This comment was picked up by a cartoon in the satirical publication Punch, showing Bedford dressed in a Renaissance-inspired attire, equipped with an oversized camera, attempting to photograph the Sphinx. The comment below mentions that the difficulty of photography is to get the sitter to assume a pleasing expression of countenance. Therefore, the cartoon mocks Bedford for being successful only in capturing the immovable Sphinx. Perhaps there's a knowing reference to Bedford's photograph of the Prince's party in the front of the pyramids, in which several cameras moved during the long exposure time, and were consequently recorded as out of focus. In conclusion, these two sources give us an idea about how the tour was reported and provide some insight into the consumption and reception of Bedford's photographs in Britain. People wanted to stay up to date with the current engagement of the royal family and were generally intensely interested in the ancient Egyptian culture. This interest led to the commercial success of the exhibition of Bedford's tour photographs, which were collected and utilized by artists such as Ahmad Tadema, whose featured Insights of Wonder.